It still seems like you guys like each other.
In what way?
Getting along.
That, I don't know, we're all just sitting here talking and everybody laughs. You've been together a long time. I got friends. I worked for like 15 years. Sometimes we're like, we've done this long enough at this point. You guys have been doing it for a long time.
Well, we're through that stage, you know. But it wasn't because of that, you know. Just because. Anyway, go ahead. About liking one another.
What state?
We do like one another.
Did you
Are y'all
have
getting along?
Did you have to learn to? Did you have to learn to like each
Was
other?
I married to you one time?
Yes.
Love each other, then how to like each other again?
Just over time. I mean, we were thrown together, you know, 1990, and just told to go write songs. We didn't know what we were doing. I mean, for what project? And it was in this room, a different form of this room, and we did it over a weekend, and took them a few of the songs back to a Brand New Man and Next Broken Heart, back to Tim Dubois, who was starting Arista Records with Clive Davis at the time.
Had some Neon Moon, some Boot Scootin' Boogie, some
of that.
Lost and Found.
Some of that.
What I hear though is like an arranged marriage. It feels like a musically arranged marriage, but you didn't know it was.
No, not a clue.
Very
we were
much
thinking,
so.
if worst case scenario, we were thinking one thing would lead to another, and we'd go out and find, you know, other jobs or get record deals or whatever. But it took off like immediately. You know, I don't know what the answer is.
90, I mean,
Or
35 years, yeah, a lot of ebb and flow for sure. I went through that period of, we've both been doing this a long time without a whole lot to show for it, honestly. And all of a sudden, number one, you're like, what in the hell? You know, it's just weird when you beat up bars and you work so hard and you feel like you're every bit as good then as you are now, but what just happened?
Well, what did happen? Because again, you're both doing it individually.
Yeah.
You get together, but so what's the difference? Like, what was the alchemy? What was the combination that you think worked?
Within the group, we don't know. We still wonder about that. We just put one foot in front of the other and do what we're told or not told. But there was just a lot going on. I mean, there's such a broad reference to different circumstances that are happening at the time. You know, the timing has something to do with it. I'm sure politics within the record labels and the business. You know, I think the country singer thing to say is, "Gosh darn, we're just glad to be here." You know,
3 chords and the truth.
gotta,
Yeah.
I think we didn't
got
have
a few hits, and
yeah.
darn if we're not here now.
And I think we had some pretty good songs, but I think we had absolutely nothing in common. We had nothing in common on stage. We came from totally different backgrounds as far as performing went. And I think it was kind of a NASCAR race. It's like there's a wreck on the way. You know, so let's watch this for a while and see how hard they hit the wall, you know. And we did plenty of times, but I think there was some nervous energy between the two of us. Kind of always has been.
We didn't know at the time. I mean, you start at that level where you don't even know who's going to be the lead singer. I mean, or if there is going to be a lead singer.
That feels honestly awkward. Like if I'm just saying it to you guys, and both of you guys are great singers, that feels awkward that you have to have that discussion.
I don't know that we ever had the discussion. That's the thing. I think we just went.
Yeah, Ronnie was singing hits right off the bat. Even though we wrote Next Broken Heart and Brand New Man, he grabbed on it. I couldn't have sung either one of those songs near that well. It's easy for me to look back on it. I think we're both trying so hard with our egos involved, not knowing how it's going to go, you know, but it shook out to me realizing really what a great singer he is. And I don't have any trouble saying that now after 35 years. We've been through freaking miles of up and down and mud and running through the freaking daisies out there. You know, it's just, it's crazy to look back on. Even going through 2010 when we quit and meant it, you know. But it didn't take but a couple of years, and a couple of gigs showed up, and we never really lost that whatever it is that happens on stage. And especially when Reba got involved, you know, we'd done a couple of big tours with her, and she drug us into Vegas, and then we're doing a 2.5-hour show just shooting the bull and singing the songs. We both had a pretty good handful of hits, and we're like, damn, this is fun. And just reminded us, this is great, and we put this thing together with Reba, but damn, we got a hillbilly band back there that's, or a honky-tonk band's the truth, and let's go bang that again, because that really was fun, you know? Let's get over our BS and
We tried to blow it real hard.
Who do you credit as to keeping it from being blown?
Our manager,
Clarence?
So, yeah, especially with this sudden resurgence of things with the reboot projects and stuff. I can remember being in Cancun, Reba and Narvel's place, and we were all like out facing the ocean in the pool, you know, in this rock star Reba's house, and kicking back and going, I don't care, Narvel, if I never sing again. I said, I'm good right here, right now. He goes, well, won't you just be still for a minute, let things pan out. Well, but it wasn't 2 weeks probably after that he and Clarence came to us and said, you want to do Vegas? I thought, well, sure.
I don't care.
How much? How much? And it just, everything snowballed from there. Again, that was the catalyst.
So much of art is product you make, but also the timing when you make it. And you had mentioned politics earlier. And I don't know the politics then on solo, band, duos. Was there a lack of duos at the time? Was that part of the reason they put you guys together?
I think that was part of the formula, not lack of duos, but just part of the formula that Tim was putting the label with. I mean, he had Alan Jackson.
So he needed one for his team.
Exactly.
He had a group.
He signed a boy singer.
He needed a point guard. He had a center and a forward, so he needed a point guard.
Had
and
Alan,
put the team
had
together.
Diamond Rio, had Pam Tillis. He had one of everything, but he needed a duo. And I think the Judds were breaking up at that point. So for whatever reasons,
we weren't aware of it. I remember
they were
hearing
kind of the ruling duo,
Yeah. On the way back to Oklahoma, I kind of heard the announcement on the road that the Judds are breaking up. But that was again, I never remembered thinking, hey, this is going to be the catalyst or the big diving board into the deep water.
This is the truth, though.
Yeah.
I remember the first duo of the year that we won at the ACMs. We were leaving, had our families there, and we were excited and whatever. And walking out the door, and one of the concierges came up and said, would you mind coming with me? He said, Naomi Judd would like to have a word with you. And I went, okay. I'd met Naomi. We didn't really know each other. So we go down. So when it was at Universal, and she was down underneath the stands. There was like a, grandstand. You would have like a temporary kind of stand set up at Universal the way it was. When in there, she stood under there in her beautiful evening gown. It was like this thing out of a movie. And I said, hey, Naomi. She goes, I just wanted you to come down. I just wanted to let you know that we're passing the torch to you guys tonight. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if we're really torch passing or anything, but
we just
thank you.
She
was a pretty dramatic personality, and that was.
That would be awesome and awkward at the same time.
It was. I didn't really have a good response for her other than, I appreciate you feeling that way, but there's a lot of great duos out there. And
does she own the torch? That'd be pretty cool. Like she gets to pick who. That's awesome. If you get to pass it to me.
Might have been a power play. I don't know. I remember you coming walking up on the bus. We were headed for somewhere like all award
parties
shows.
Somewhere.
You do what you got to do, and you take off and end up in Fresno tomorrow. But because you won't believe just what happened. They told the story. So.
I haven't told that story a lot, but it was a very surreal moment. Just
under the bleachers with Naomi Judd getting the torch passed.
And we're
to
only
you.
a couple of years in. This isn't like
Yeah.
We're really comfortable in our skis here.
That first year, my TikTok is honestly, I watch a lot of 70s and 80s country music award shows. It's just clips of them, right? And I watch, and if I'm right, that same year, you won Best New Duo and Best Duo the same year. Mm-hmm. Does that sound right, that you won them both?
I think that may be right.
We had two, yeah. I think that was it, yeah.
And
we were new, and
wouldn't it kind of be weird if you won Best Duo but didn't win Best New Duo? That's the kind of stuff that pops in my head. Like there's a lot of room for awkwardness here.
Yeah.
But you win two that night. Did you feel then like, hey, we got a few years now in us? Not a career, but did it feel like we got a few years now in us?
Not one time has it felt that way.
I'll tell you when I felt it. It was the first show we had after that. that was when I realized the power of an award show
Mm.
because our fans, there was an energy that hadn't been there the show before the awards, so they really got it, you know.
It had a shelf life, which
Uh-huh.
is interesting too.
Yeah.
Looking back,
And you saw it back then in the CD world, you saw a 15-20% bump in your sales too if you won an award. So it really
From
meant,
the immediate
Yeah.
effects
Yeah.
of the award show.
yeah.
What about did you guys do any of the late night shows back in the day? Like,
Yeah,
Good
everybody.
Leno and Letterman, and
would you see effects from that back then as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, there'd be a bump.
not as much.
Not
though.
as deep though.
Mhm.
When you go to New York or LA to play these shows, and they don't have a lot of country acts on Leno Letterman, like Letterman's my hero, so I've seen.
I'm with you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, Letterman was the big fun one to get. You got the hot band and all that stuff.
Freezing cold, band's awesome.
Yeah, man. 40 degrees.
How did it feel taking what then became massive, because what you guys were a part of and led in the 90s became pop culture, but how did that feel taking that to those places at the time didn't have it, New York, LA, and those crowds?
Well, I don't know if that was really on our minds, other than just getting up there like it would be today and giving a good performance.
Just doing a TV show?
Yeah.
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 Didn't have what?
Country music.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Oh,
like you're
yeah.
going to do Letterman and Leno, they don't have a lot of country on there to begin with.
Yeah.
And you're in cities where the movement hadn't quite happened yet when you guys started, because you guys were the catalyst of it. And I wonder what it was like to play New York, LA at a time when country music was kind of foreign to them.
We were flabbergasted in a lot of ways I can remember.
And
time
flattered
after
to be
time.
there.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Ronnie said, great band. I mean, Paul and them, they light it up and they treat you like you're somebody. You know, they weren't acting like they're like, okay, how are we going to do this? Oh, I like that. Ooh, that's a cool dude. Love that song. You know, it's just those guys to really give you a pat on the back and make you feel like, okay, you don't have a hay bale here. This this feels good.
In fact, that might have been in the rider, please no hay bale. We were trying to get away from that.
This is going to be hopefully a beautifully odd question. I'd like an answer from both of you. But when you think about the best picture that you guys have together, and I'd like a different answer from both of you, so I want to give you a few seconds, but somewhere in a house or a warehouse, what's the best the picture that you can think of a moment, of a place, of a show, of you two together? What is that picture?
That runs deep, I guess.
There's two pictures, so I was going to let you pick.
Go ahead.
You might pick the same one.
Yeah.
One of our album covers where I got a leg stretched. We're in an Adobe, doorway, and Ronnie's just standing there, and I just got my booted heel up on the doorway, and I think it's Waiting on Sundown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's just a good. You know, it's one of those long days when you just keep. I mean, me and him standing together, going, you know. Like, hey, we don't really like that. But it was just, I remember it was at the end of a long, tired one, and I just threw my leg up and went, good God, please take a picture and please let it be okay, you know? And that was pretty cool. It was a pretty good one.
It's just finding those moments where you, like exactly what you're describing, where your defenses are down, and you just stand there and you're like, okay, we're relaxed. This is it. Another one was another cover was the one in L.A., under some bridge, and they had taken like Latino graffiti and done the
Hillbilly Deluxe.
that cover. Same thing. It's kind of like long day, stretch your foot out and shoot. We were just comfortable together.
The one we used the most, shot all night long. 2 photographers on stage, great photographers, shot 1 million freaking pictures. Got nothing. We walked as the elevator door was closing, one of the guys walked up and shot us. We've used that picture for like 8 years.
Wow.
Just both of us up against the wall in the elevator, and it was just right. It was like we'd posed and shot it 1,000 times, but yeah, that's the one that worked.
You hear those stories with cash, like with photographers coming in, young guys want to come in and go, okay, because he's in the dressing room, you got a shot, you walk in and go, you got 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
What's the most accidental, random part of all of this success when you go, holy crap, I can't believe that happened because this happened?
I think probably the fact that actually in 2000, there was a real good chance we were sick of each other to the point that we were really talking about we've had enough. You know, we were using different producers, whatever, sending files back and forth. We kind of
I don't think it was sick of each other. You might have, but to me, and pardon me for interrupting.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
No,
I thought you were sick of me.
No, it was all about the music. We were trying to find.
Yeah.
We were trying to find. It hit a wall, and we were
Mhm.
trying to find something that was a little different, had a little more, different twist, or that could punch through. At the time, it wasn't the same old, and I think we just, we're hard-headed, button heads, but nothing. I didn't feel any real tension.
No, I mean,
Other than,
we've never raised our voices to each other in 35 years.
it was just
That's
a search
the
of the right music.
We'll turn our back on each other and come back when we're done pouting. But
Yeah.
And Joe Galante came in at that point and said, guys, I just got back to town. Will you make one album for me? And we said, okay. And made what we thought was a pretty good record. He had a song, or I guess Ronnie said he might have come to him first, I don't know, but whatever, a song called Nothing About You showed up, and I finished Only in America the night before we were going to record, and we cut those two songs. Nothing About You was #1 for 6 weeks after having an album that was basically didn't do anything, and Only in America was #1, and in a time it was a real dark time because of the towers coming down, and both things, I think.
Nothing About You stayed, I don't remember,
Yeah,
6
like
8
6
weeks,
weeks, yeah.
something like that.
So it just kind of, everything changed. We're back in the saddle. Here we go again,
Which takes us back to, it's all about the song. And you're right about timing. You know that.
Mhm.
You're a guru. You've been around a bit.
Still waiting on my time. That's all I'm doing. Just waiting on
Right?
trying to catch the break
Right?
here.
Probably one of the most miraculous things to come out of all this chaos along the way is that here we sit right now.
Mhm.
Why do you say that?
Because we get to do Bobby Bones. Are you kidding?
Ah,
All this time.
it's just, hey, here we are.
Your dream as young children was to work with me. I get it.
We call it a pinnacle.
It's like my grandma before she died. She said, my grandma said, "Be careful on TikTok."
Yeah.
And I was like, that hasn't been invented yet, Grandma. But
My grandmother was just going, there will come from the woods of Arkansas a young man.
yes, you will know him by his glasses.
And it's Arkansas too.
No, it's not Buddy Holly. No, remember Bobby.
This
It's not
space,
Buddy, it's Bobby.
this room, this space has changed. The walls are a bit different, but there's a recording studio. What happened here with you guys?
Brand new man.
Running Man's first song.
And a ton of stuff. So much freaking music history from, good God Almighty, from Roger Miller to Merle Haggard, everybody you can think of that's famous in country music. Harlan Howard and all, just the greatest guitar players, the greatest songwriters, certainly, Curly Putman, Green Grass at Home, all those
This was
songs.
the most impactful, largest, publishing company in the world. to
And
write
the
for.
studios where everybody demoed that stuff.
Yeah.
Was there a creative respect within yourselves when you're working in a place that has all that history?
Yeah. Yeah. June Carter, like before I even really came to town, was telling me, she said, okay, you're going to need a writing deal first. Well, here's how we build it. And she said, I'd already been to every publishing company in town. Donna Hilly at the time with Buddy Killen, which owned Sony at the time, but Donna was running it, called, and she was the last publisher that we had gone to, called me in Oklahoma and said, would you take, what was it, $600 a week or something, which is a lot of money, to as a retainer to write. And it kicks him in here, and it's like it just kind of solidified. Oh man, you come into the biggest,
You're a
baddest
professional songwriter.
publishing. Yeah, I mean,
I think the three of us come from similar backgrounds, rural areas, small towns. I'm going to ask questions kind of weird to ask, but do you remember when you became a millionaire?
I remember asking Kicks on the bus. We got royalty checks. like the same day.
Literally came in the mail with 2 commas on it and a number in front of
Like
it.
you got a paper check?
Yes,
Absolutely. Nothing more fun than
In the mail?
being
with a
being
postage
broke on
stamp?
your ass your whole life and walking
Get a $1
into the
million
bank
check.
with
Paper
this
check.
check with 2 commas on it. And they're, excuse me, I need to go talk to a manager. Yeah, might want to go do that, I guess.
I don't know what I was thinking
Put that in my
about.
checking account, though. I got some ideas.
So we get these checks. I opened mine first. I don't know for whatever. Didn't know what it was. And sure enough, I said, "Oh," I said, "Hey, Kicks, I just became a millionaire." And, and he's like, "Okay, asshole." And he tears his opening. He goes, "Yeah, me too." Like,
So
okay.
I'm scared if I'm holding that paper, you
Yeah.
gotta sign the back of it, then get it to a bank.
I did it in Brentwood. I said, it's the first time and probably the last time I walked in a bank to do that. And I said, I just got to see what they do. If I hand the teller a $1 million check. And I handed it to her. And she's looking down, doing something. She looked over and she goes, okay. She said, you need to sign this on the back, sweetie. So I signed it and away it went. And then she hands me a receipt. And I went home and told Janine, living right down the road, I told her, I said, I went in and put $1 million in the bank. And she said, she didn't act like I was even there. What do you got to do?
Everybody does it.
I guess Billy Ray Cyrus had just been in there with Achy Breaky
no
Heart for
kidding.
12 million or something. I don't know. It's like,
That's
what
fun.
the heck?
I have. This is the original
Uh-huh.
ACM. So
Mhm.
is this the one you guys got first? Is this a style?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back any memories at all?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of memories.
The fun thing was you got to take them with you.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, and we had to worry about packing them in your bag, to fly out with them from LA.
It takes like 8 weeks to get them in the mail now.
Uh-huh.
I remember waking up with a slight hangover after that night you're talking about when we won 2 of them and going, God, what happened? Oh, man. Are those things, did I make it home with those things? Sure enough, they were sitting on a bedside table. Well, I know, thank God, because I didn't really remember a lot of what
A
happened.
few of them got back a little slight dings.
Yeah,
but,
some of them were
pretty
kind of
much-
banged up. But
Pretty much good.
Went to the Country Music Hall of Fame and saw all of them together. I mean, it's like you're walking into a freaking jewelry store. Where were they before you allowed them to hold them? Like, where did you keep them all?
Just I just send them home with Janine, and half the time we get on the bus or plane, and you probably send yours with Barbara.
where are they stored is
You mean-
what you're
Yeah, I don't know.
asking?
There's so many. Do you store them? Do you put some on the toilet? Do you put some, like, I would have them in every room.
I got a home theater, at home, and it's kind of set up when I built it. Just kind of had, shelves with lighting and stuff.
And all of them are just there?
They're just kind of
I had a barn
collecting
with
dust. and-
studio. They were all over the place, but they're just scattered all over.
Mhm.
That's
This is the change.
that's the change.
Yeah.
What I don't mean to brag, but I have a bunch myself. I just whatever for different reasons.
I
Mine are
meant to tell you
for being good looking.
congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
about all those.
It took me a minute to catch the cowboy hat. Just a minute though.
Hmm.
That's
Did-
art. right
Did you
there.
know that was a cowboy hat?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Give it back then.
Yeah.
I thought I discovered something a few years ago, and apparently everybody already knew that was that.
Did you see that?
Cowboy hat?
I know.
Yeah,
I thought
the
it was a
media.
seagull.
Yeah, I think it's
I-
pretty smart.
Let's talk about Reba. How did that relationship become so strong?
They were when we first went out, early '90s, '91, '92, whatever.
Mhm.
There were only I think 5 major tours out there, so it would be Straight, Garth,
Vince.
Vince,
And Vince
Alan.
opened for her.
Was it be Alan?
Alan
and
wasn't-
Reba.
Yeah.
But we're all up in just
Alabama.
just rolling. Alabama, yeah. And we got picked up to open, be the first act of 3 by Reba's camp. And you get I think maybe 20 minutes.
And a small part of the stage, probably.
And
yeah?
that's it. She even talked about it. She came back and said, when I first started, I was opening for Charlie Daniels, and said I wore high heels, and there were just grates right there. I had to walk through on my toes the whole time. But so yeah, I mean, she just kind of she and Narvel and that bunch, kind of, drug us along for a while.
I'll tell you what was cool though. When we started hitting a lick, our first couple of songs took off and whatever, and we were out there and we were had a fairly extended deal with him. And Narble Reba came in the dressing room one night and said, guys, y'all are going to be around for a while. And we don't want you to hate us. And anyway, they doubled what they were paying us at the time. I won't say what that was, but it was like,
Wasn't a million.
It wasn't a million. The record company gave us that one. But anyway, it was pretty cool that they said, we're just, you guys are legit, and we definitely got a good deal on you, too good of a deal. So, here's a little kiss.
That's a class move.
Yeah.
What's the human Reba like?
She's a lot like what you see.
She is. That's
That's
not
pretty
a lot
much
of hidden
Reba. I mean,
right
she's
there.
a cowgirl. She's never sits still. Her mother calls her that. She says she's bouncing. She just doesn't stop. She's relentless at what she does.
She's funny too, and loves to play board games. I mean, literally, we're in Vegas, up
Had to go
on
hide
top of
from
the
her.
stage, waving at the crowd goodbye on their feet, whatever. As soon as that curtain comes together, she goes, "Y'all want to play Rubik's Cube tonight?" It's like, okay. So, because she knows she plays it every night, so you can half-ass play Rubik's Cube unless something's wrong with
It's like
you.
Trivial Pursuit when you play it 50,000 times and you know all the answers. It's
Yeah.
like a long day for the other side of the table.
I want to ask you about two legacies, and I'm going to wrap this up. The Brooks and Dunn legacy. What's it going to be? What did you want it to be?
A series of good songs, lasting songs that are classics that you can listen to. We all used to say that use the word longevity. But just that kind of the music, let the music define you. There's we work on image and stuff like that, just as crazy as anybody. We took everything west of Mississippi, went to the desert, chased all that look. But at the end of the day, it's the songs, flat out is.
The thing that's craziest to me at this point, with sort of this, here we go again, and I've said it, for lack of a better description, when people go, what do you think's happening with you guys right now? And, you're selling everything out. And I go, it really feels like, because I didn't find Willie Nelson till I was in college, when he'd already had a really cool career in Nashville and written a lot of classic songs that are still there. I didn't know, I hadn't really heard of Willie Nelson, not like Merle Haggard and George Jones. But I was real close to the Willie picnics when him and Waylon went and kicked the door down. I'm like, we're taking road trips down to Austin and getting in the middle of it with another 40,000 drunks going, this is the funnest stuff in the world. And that guy is so freaking cool. Not to compare us or our music to Willie and Waylon in any way, other than I think a young group of music listeners found him and thought that was cool and started sharing that, and I think it feels great that I look out in the audience and every night go, how many of y'all are at your first Brooks and Dunn show and watching those hands go up?
Night before last. Was it night before last?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're at the Houston Rodeo, 71,136 people. I know, because we're all always competing to who has the biggest crowd of the rodeo. And so you ask him in the middle of the show, he goes, how many of you, is this your first Brooks and Dunn show? And this is Houston Rodeo. We've been there, like in the Hall of Fame there. And I swear the whole place erupted. It was like, what? I mean, what? So.
And that's the legacy that you wanted, the legacy. And you get to live it now, which is so rare.
Yeah, that's it.
I think the legacy is what Ronnie was saying. Because every year we did the craziest stuff we could think of on stage. Inspired by ZZ Top and a lot of rock bands that we're doing. Garth picked up on that too. But man, a lot of things that we stole from rock bands that had done this, from the Stones to ZZ Top, stuff I'd seen coming up going, oh, we ought to do something like, and I won't even get into all that. But just we tore up stuff and just spent all this money just to see how freaking crazy we could be on stage in terms of sets and things we could do. Ronnie was always somewhat reserved, thank God, or we'd have completely lost our minds. But I really enjoyed that part of it. And at the same time, with all the stupid clothes I was wearing and coming up with and all that, the fact that now I don't hear anybody talking about it. It's like we had these giant inflatable women that took 4 crew guys behind shaking them on stage because I'd seen the Stones do that. It's just the coolest thing I ever saw. Us, probably not so much, but we did it.
Well, that was a result. All
Yeah.
this crazy stuff was a result of, like you said earlier, country, like it got to that rock status level. We would play Friday night. Aerosmith would play, Chicago. We'd play right behind them the next night. So you're coming in, you got to go. We need a few more trucks with stuff.
One more legacy question. What's Reba's legacy?
Gosh, she has done everything. I think just to me, she's just an amazing entertainer. And I think what you see is what you get is probably why her TV shows are still back to back to back to back on some cable network somewhere. I think it's just...
Reba's smart as a tack.
She is.
Smart, man.
She is, but it's small time ranch girl who's...
Knows no fear.
Yeah.
No fear.
On Broadway, great singer, tons of records, tons of number ones. And television icon from now The Voice to shows she's made herself.
To end this, I want to indulge myself with just talking for a second and giving my favorite version of each of you. And you're not going to remember this, but at the Grand Ole Opry, the doors stay open. Unless you're in your underwear, the doors stay open.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my first time performing, doing stand-up at the Opry. And I was a fan of you guys, but I had never met you guys. And Kix walked in the room and was like, hey, and gave me a pep talk. I didn't even know, you probably didn't know who I was. You probably thought I was cleaning up the place. Like, hey, you do better. But literally, you were like, this is such a special place. Congratulations. You're going to do great. And it makes me emotional even thinking about that you would take 30 seconds to do that at that time, at that place. And that'll be something that when I'm 100, I remember vividly. So I appreciate that. And I tell that story underneath the microphone and camera so people can hear that you're not just a couple funny guys that are acting nice on camera, that you do treat people the way that it seems like you treat people. And that's rare in this industry. With Ronnie, you sang at my wedding. And we didn't even know you were coming. You didn't get invited. And you just still showed up and sang, and that was awesome.
You wore me out to do it.
But you did. But I'm being serious. You did sing, and I will forever be grateful. And
it was awesome.
Love both of you guys together and separately. And to conclude, my favorite moment, it's me and my wife and Ronnie and his wife were having dinner, and someone comes up and wants a picture. Of course. It's freaking...
let me tell that.
Oh, you want to tell my story?
No, go ahead.
Well, then you can tell, but...
I'll tell it together. What happened?
No, of course...
I want to hear.
Of course,
my ego's still bruised.
It's a superstar. Someone comes up and wants a picture.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. I would want a picture too. And so they're like...
They had me the camera take his picture.
Don't you hate it when they do that?
It's the greatest moment of my life. I've had some good ones.
I went, what?
It was one of the top 3 greatest moments, and then Ronnie took the picture of me and the fan. And
more than once, somebody's good. Can we get a picture? I'm like, yeah, sure. And they hand me the camera and they put their arm around each other. That's happened to me several times.
That's showbiz.
Show business.
I love you guys. Thank you for doing this. Congratulations on all your success. But I think the success that I hear from you is how your music has affected many people for many years. That was the goal. That was the dream. And you guys are living it still. 70,000 people still coming to shows. It's awesome to see. Congratulations, and thank you for the time, guys.
Cool. Thanks, Bobby.
Likewise, Bobby. Thank you, man.